The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat.
You're listening to Truth Talk.
Those weapons of mass destruction got to be somewhere.
With Paul Webster and Chance George.
The first year of global governance with the establishment of the G20 in the middle of the financial crisis.
President Bush signed a formal agreement that will end the United States as we know it.
Nope, no weapons over there.
People who have been yelling, oh, the UN's going to take over global
conspiracy
government.
Theorists.
They've been crazy, but now they're right.
Yeah.
Maybe under here.
But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that.
Hello?
Jeff, we got you there.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. You're on the air. Pretty much in about 5 minutes, could you sum up what your whole plan is and what's going on with the gravel pit in your area? That's literally in your backyard. I've seen that for myself.
Yes. There's a gravel pit that is, actually they've had this piece of land for 40 years now, and their license is 38 years old. And the location that they're putting it on is right in our wellhead protection area. And basically a wellhead protection area was created after the Walkerton disaster, and that is supposed to be a safe zone to prevent anything from contaminating our water supply. And, of course, as a resident that's sitting on this wellhead protection area, there's certain rules and regulations that I have to follow. And they've been informing me about what's good and not good for quite a while now. And one of those things was certain aggregate operations that they had mentioned. And I was quite surprised when I found out that they were actually going to go ahead and put this pit in. And what I've found out is that since that time, the Source Protection Committee has actually tried to list some of the aggregate activities as issues, and the province has basically denied the listing of any aggregate activities. So now what we have is an operation that's going to come in. They're going to use heavy equipment over top of our water supply, and you know, trucks and dump trucks. They're leaking oil and fluid and stuff like that all the time, and that's going to go directly into our water supply. In researching and finding out what's going on with our water and how safe it is, it's become apparent that they track the flow of water underneath, but they don't actually track whether or not it changes the chemistry of the water that's coming to your taps. And that's not a good thing. That's not good enough for us. What we'd like to know is exactly what the dangers are associated with it. What are the exact chemical changes to our water supply? Another thing that, going through all this research and trying to figure this out is the GRCA, Grand River Conservation Authority, has put together a forecast about what's going to happen with precipitation around this area over the next 20 years or so. And they're talking about our water supply is actually going to start dwindling. We're going to start looking at drought conditions, maybe not all the time. We're still going to get rain. It's not going to go all away, but not really enough to sufficiently recharge our water here. So with the pit coming in here, they're going to start digging in here. One of their plans is to go below the water table, which is another issue entirely. And they're going to be using up the water that we're going to want to use in 20 to 40 years from now. And we don't know if there's going to be enough left for us, and we don't know how safe it's going to be. And what we're getting from the industry is that, oh yeah, you don't have to worry, it'll be fine, but no real answers as to what's going to happen to our water. Another issue with this is that the roads aren't built to handle these trucks. Basically, a gravel truck loaded up is the equivalent destructive capability as 3,000 cars. So when you're talking wear and tear, if you put 3,000 cars on that road, that would be equal to one gravel truck traveling down that road. And so some of the roads have to be redone around here, especially the Watts Pond Road. And part of it they're on the hook for already, as per their license. But then the other part of it, which was over $2 million in costs, they have finally, in the last week, suggested that they might be paying for it, but that's contingent on a quick approval from the county to let them just go ahead and start digging. So a little bit of bribery there, and then they might pay for the road that they want to use. And if that doesn't happen, then the county's on the hook, and that's another $2 million plus that all of us will have to pay. And that $2 million considers them pulling aggregate out of the pit here, and that's pretty much for free.
All right, just to give people a little bit of an update on this, I've driven around all of Brant County and seen your posters everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyone sees them. That's basically what we're talking about here. Is there any way that people can get in contact with you? Do you have a website, or is there anything they can do to get in touch with you to help out your cause?
Yes, the website is ccob.ca, and we have a contact form on there where you can get a hold of us, you can become a member, or you can just join our mailing list to find out more. And on Tuesday, we're having a members meeting, and the public's welcome to come to that. It's at St. Paul's United Church on Broadway Street in Paris. And we're going to be organizing some activities. We've actually put together a script so that somebody who wants to talk to their neighbor and let them know about it, they can actually go from a script and tell them the whole story about what's going on. And so Tuesday we'll be introducing that to the members who want to hear that. And we're looking at organizing some other, we'll call it an information session. Some people might call it public disobedience or a march. Pots and pans welcome. We might have, we have some pipers who have volunteered.
You're not talking about a protest, are you now, Jeff?
Oh, no, I wouldn't say something like that, would I?
Oh, I don't know, because if you are, I'm in.
Yes, it is.
But
okay.
Basically, is there any, when you were talking about some of the contaminants that get into the water, is there anything that is actually getting into the water right now, or anything that you could specifically cite is going to be a harmful contaminant that will be hitting the water of Paris for my lovely children to drink?
Well, we're not even sure. Basically, when they start digging all this stuff up, if they have a fuel spill or something like that, that's considered fairly minor, I guess. Salt from the operation, potentially chemicals from dust suppression, and it's not really clear what they do and do not use. When we're talking about all this stuff, there's no chemicals used on site and all this, and the fuel that they use, they have it stored in a certain area with a pad that'll capture any spills or anything. But then they don't talk about dust suppression chemicals. Well, I know they have to use them because dust contains silica, which is carcinogenic, so it's cancer-causing. So they have to suppress their dust with something. They can't just spray water on it. So it's, they don't always disclose all the information.
Now, you said that you had been educated on what isn't allowed to be going into the soil. What are some of those examples of contamination? Or is there any other projects in the area that are doing the same type of contamination in this area? You mentioned like Walkerton and...
well, Walkerton was E. coli. So basically what you have, and there's more danger after the pit than there is while the operation's going on, I think, as far as what fill goes back into these things. In some areas, when a gravel pit's mined out, they're converting them to dumps. Even bringing Toronto garbage in and dumping it below the water table and just burying it all. That's the kind of stuff going on. At the end of this, they'll have to get the land back to farming. That's the idea that they have right now. However, if you've only got a meter or two of soil on top of your aquifer, this is where the E. coli comes in. Farmer's going to go and spread a bunch of poo on the field, and then any E. coli or anything like that has a short distance to travel till it hits the water table. So it really increases the vulnerability of our aquifer after the fact. Plus, they have
Now, what exact area would be the people whose water this is? Is this strictly Paris, or is this all of Brant County, or is this going to keep going down the chain? Like, how many people are we talking affected by this?
How long do we see the effects?
Well, you got, 12,000 people in Paris right now? So it'll be all their drinking water. But then you have another issue, which is the water table itself and the groundwater is going to continue to flow past us. Some of it will go into the river. Some of it will keep going on to the other side. And you don't really know what's going to happen with it after that. Other people with their wells that are drawing from this water table. How far does this stuff continue? Does it go down as far as Lake Erie? I mean, if a contaminant's in there, it's going to stick in there for as long as it can.
And the contaminant could be anything. The contaminant could be anything from, not just from the heavy equipment stuff. I mean, after they dig a big gravel pit, what do you think they're going to put in there to make it contaminated? That's going to be so bad for the earth,
Well, the first thing is, if you go to, say, Australia, they treat their aquifers like gold, and they want them to capture as much rain as they can. You're not allowed to put any construction projects on top of them. You're not allowed to build on them. You're not allowed to drive on them. They keep them as clean as possible because water is precious to them. They don't have as much fresh water as we do. One of the potential contaminants that you have after the fact is what they're going to do with the property after. There's a section down in there where back in the 70s, I guess it was, maybe even earlier than that, they had actually taken some gravel out of there. And then if you go and walk down in there right now, what you'll see is an old single-wall fuel tank. And it was probably, 10 years ago that they had to go to the double-line fuel tanks. So here it is sitting upside down, nothing stopping the valves or anything like that, so it's just open. So anything that was in that tank would have just leaked out into our water supply.
You see a pattern then in our local history then with any time when there's an aquifer that gets sold off to a third party, so to speak, it commonly gets left to the abyss. And anything can happen, and that could happen here. There's no actual set standard in place, municipal-wise, for someone to protect the land, and it could get down into the water and travel contamination everywhere.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
It also makes it easier for stuff like nitrates to get into the water. If they're digging below the water table, you're going to have wildlife that's basically crapping directly into our water supply.
Yeah.
It's just all kinds of things like that.
You've taken action. How long have you been on this for, Jeff?
It's been about 4 months now, maybe even 6 months. It's been a while, since the beginning of the year
and
almost.
You did city council meetings and whatnot?
Oh, yeah, we're there. We're
response you get from them in most cases?
It seems that a bit of a mixed reaction. We get some support from them. But then you hear some stories coming out of them that, we don't know what we're talking about and stuff like that. And you got to realize that the industry is in there talking to these guys all the time. And if they bring up any of our concerns, the industry is just going to tell them, well, they don't know what they're talking about. So that's the kind of thing you face.
If what you say is true and we could find documentation and everything else, and I'm sure we could prove you know what you're talking about.
Oh, I found documentation from other areas. I got a report from Finland that shows the changes in the water chemistry. Just something like pH. When you start changing the pH of the water, There is an actual pH range that E. coli or anything like that can flourish in. So if it gets it into that range, then we're more susceptible to contamination. Exactly what those changes are, we're not even sure.
Wow.
Yeah, there's.
We're gonna top of this one, Jeff. This is really interesting. And your website again is ccob.ca.
That's the one. Yep.
Okay, so www.ccob.ca. Everybody, get over there and sign up and become a member and do what you can to support. This Tuesday at where was it again, Jeff?
St. Paul's United Church.
St. Paul's United Church in Paris this Tuesday. You guys are having what time?
That'll be at 7.
Okay, 7 o'clock. Then if anybody can make it out to learn more, get out there. And you're having a march?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that on Tuesday.
Okay.
I've been pushing for something like that for a while now, and they've been a little scared to do that kind of thing. But now the other members are saying, "Yeah, we got to have a march or something."
As soon as that gets organized, we'll get a Facebook group. We'll start adding people and get that march happening.
They're all online. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Points.
All right. Well, let us know what happens on Tuesday if I can't make it down there personally to come check it out. And we definitely want to have you back on air and go over as many facts as we can and stay with the story. And we're also going to be in the middle of doing a fluoride angle for the report once we actually get in these people's ears a little bit with the bugs. His take on fluoride is exactly what we're talking about.
For the people. Real quick, what's your take?
Quick take on some of the actual contaminants the city themselves are putting in the water. You got anything on fluoride at all there?
Well, you got the fluoride. I was talking to a medical hydrogeologist, and her biggest concern with the fluoride levels is that the current levels that they put in there are toxic to babies. And there is some belief that the fluoride actually causes sudden infant death syndrome. And, do you want to go beyond that, or is that just enough? It's killing babies.
Yeah. Oh, well, just letting it known to the public that there's not just the contamination from the possibility of their trucks and stuff, but you also have contamination through some of the things that are being done in the municipality as it is. So
how safe
once
is
we
chlorine?
tend the water and they start caring about the water, maybe we can get some action here. And we're just glad that you're actually doing something in our area. I believe we got a caller coming on, so we'll get a hold of you and book you in for another show. Thanks for being with us. We'll talk to you again, and I'm probably going to try and make it out Tuesday at 7.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right. Talk to you later, Jeff.
Have a good one. See ya.
There goes Jeff Broomfield, folks. Great guy from Paris. That's www.ccob.ca again. Get over there and support him. There's not many people locally are doing such a great job. What are they doing locally, Chance?
Basically, they're the concerned citizens of Brant. They're keeping.
No, I mean, what's everybody else doing?
The regular Joe?
Yeah.
They're watching The Biggest Loser.
Yeah,
you kidding?
had to throw it in.
We saw another caller on the switchboard. We're just trying to get Roy on. He's one of the many info warriors I've met online, and he has his own 2012 group discussion on Facebook where they discuss different social aspects of the movement, a lot of different things more locally as well. He wants to call in and get some local issues up to speed here and try and get everybody educated in this area. So I'm just waiting to see his phone light up on my switchboard again. I did see it. Paul, comments?
Fluoride causes osteoporosis in boys and young men. Chance?
I think we've got him online here. Roy, you there?
Hey, Chance.
Awesome. Okay, so in a brief second, because I think we went a little bit over there with Jeff. He had a lot of information in a little bit of time. What's a quick overview of your 2012 group and what you're trying to accomplish here?
Well, quickly, the 2012 group actually was originally just a group of people with a certain degree of awareness that kind of had concerns about things that were going on in the world. And what I did was I brought all these people together so that we could share their own perspectives. And from that, in early this year, what happened was news came out about the federal election fraud issue. When that came out, a whole bunch of those people really didn't feel like sitting around and not letting their disapproval of this just stay silent. And so what we did was we started organizing rallies to try and raise awareness of the fact that our government was being essentially taken over. And from there, we've come up with some specific things that are important in general to everybody that tends to be involved. Right now, we've narrowed it down to responsibility and accountability. One of the issues that we discovered early on was that personal responsibility is falling by the wayside. Can't help but think that has to do with the current corporate structure, the way that it makes entities that aren't even existing people and puts responsibility into those things that you can't, jail when they break the law and things like this, right? And because there's so many issues right now, we're trying to promote the idea that people should stand together against, injustices that happen daily on all sorts of different geographical levels, and stop buying into the paradigms that keep people divided, keep people arguing over things that really don't matter.
Well said. Now, one of the issues you just brought up there was the elections fraud. Could you briefly describe what that is and how maybe any of that would pertain locally to any of us? Or did that happen around here with all out of area?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
The short answer would be that the federal government basically isn't who they claim to be and doesn't represent us in the way that they say they do. Without making it real long, without making it long?
Hey, you've got more than 5 minutes.
Okay. I don't know where to go with this. I mean,
what happened,
the awareness
first of all?
level
What was the election?
Pardon me?
A lot of people probably have no idea they were watching The Biggest Loser.
Yes. Well, that's yeah. And you see, that's the kind of thing that we're trying to get people to understand is until they take responsibility for the things that are going on in the world, then they're not going to be able to hold others accountable. The first step is to take responsibility and say, you know what, this is a democracy. I'm part of it. I really should, stay involved so that my interests are served. It might sound selfish to some people, but I mean, the thing is, if you don't decide to help shape your future, then you're going to let other people do it for you. And that kind of thing, that's ridiculous, obviously, right? So at this point,
let other people do it for us. It's kind of where we're sitting right now. Yeah,
that's the problem.
Do you have a website personally, or are you social media? Where can we find you at?
We just run, information stuff through social media and some communications. We have a Facebook page. It's at facebook.com/Brantford Rally Against Fraud. We have that. Obviously, initially it was because of the election fraud issues. Right now we just call it the Brantford Rally page, but that would be the address to find that. We have an organizing group as well, like a core group that is interested in the more activist sort of role, working on supporting groups like CCOB, a good example would be Lead Now. We actually have a meeting planned for Sunday. Lead Now is asking that people start getting together and talking about what their personal role is going to be in the future of pro-democracy in Canada. We have part of our goal is to engage people and have them interested in at least forming an opinion and then expressing it on things that directly affect them.
Awesome. Yeah. So basically, if someone was to look you guys up at BrantfordRally.com, they would be able to see or Facebook at BrantfordRally.com. They'd be able to see some of the movements you guys are doing, when and where you guys are meeting, and some of the information you're trying to get across to people.
Right.
Now,
right. We use that
Go ahead.
Well, we use that to disseminate information regarding mostly government accountability or lack thereof, and for sharing local events that are happening that people are promoting that we think that people should be standing together with those people on.
So what's your next event that's coming up? Your next rally that I'm going to see posted?
Well, actually, we just set one up this morning for Sunday. That's the Lead Now Pro-Democracy gatherings. And the purpose of that is to try and get people on a local level together to talk about what they can do as a group to try and spread awareness and start taking some sort of action towards taking back control of our legislative bodies. So what would be your first goal? Where is your first direction? What are you guys focused on is in your crosshairs, the first people you want to try and do? What would you, if you had the control to go anywhere, what's your next move? Well, if we had the option right now, we'd kind of have to go to the top nationally, because of the fact that the Conservative Party of Canada right now was actually formed out of the Reform Party out west, and the fact that they eliminated the former progressive Conservatives so that they could essentially hijack the conservative or the right-wing voting bloc, right? It's unbelievable. It just never ends. Well, what's unbelievable is that this kind of thing can go on, and that in general people are just absolutely not aware whatsoever. That's kind of scary. You know, they wonder why the government is doing all these things, and the reason is because we're used to progressive governments, regardless of whether they're conservative, liberal, or otherwise. And these people are largely driven by essentially really greed, is what it comes down to. They're involved in power blocks that are created by these people that have amounts of money that we can't even fathom. Awesome. Yeah, I saw your post about the elections fraud, and honestly, when I got talking to people in public, they didn't even have a clue. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Now, we've got about 60 seconds left, so we'd just like to thank you for being on air. We'll try and have you back again and get some information about your rallies and the Brantford Rally on Facebook. Thanks for coming out. We'll stay in.
Okay, folks, I think that's it for the show today. Again, the last callers, go on Facebook and search Brantford Rally, and you'll get the page. And the first one was CCOB. www.ccob.ca was Jeff's website. So get over to those websites and support them both. And this is Paul and Chance signing off.